Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Deck Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmaduel.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Deck Talk. Today, we're going to take a look at the Dimensional Guardians card set that just came out on May 26, 2017, and I want to take a look at a lot of the ultra rares and super rares that are obtainable out of these packs. So I'm just going to go through. I've got about 10 of them here, but first I want to start off with Performapal Ballad. It is a level 3 Pendulum monster, Pendulum Scale 2. Its pendulum effect is once per turn at the start of the damage step. When your Performapal monster battles an opponent's face-up monster, you can make that opponent's monster lose 600 attack, even if this card leaves the field. And the card text is, if your Performapal monster attacked after damage calculation, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses attack equal to the attack of that Performapal monster. So pretty decent card. And then the next one here is Performapal Barracuda. It's another level 3 Pendulum Plant, 500 attack, 1100 defense, Pendulum Scale 5, and its pendulum effect is once per turn. If your Performapal monster battles an opponent's monster before damage calculation, you can make that opponent's monster lose attack equal to the difference between its original attack and current attack, even if this card leaves the field. And the card text is, during either player's turn, you can target one Performapal monster whose current attack is different from its original attack. It gains attack equal to the difference until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect of Performapal Barracuda once per turn. The next one here is Speedroid Domino Butterfly. It's a machine pendulum tuner, and its pendulum scale is an 8. It's got 100 attack, 300 defense, and its pendulum effect is, you cannot pendulum summon monsters except wind monsters. This effect cannot be negated. You can discard one wind monster, then target one of your banished wind monsters, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Speedroid Domino Butterfly once per turn. And its card text is, cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a wind dragon or machine type synchro monster. If this card, special summon from the extra deck, is used as material for a synchro summon, banish it. So, moving on to, those are just three of the pendulum monsters that you're able to get out of this set. There are some extra deck monsters as well, which we will get into shortly. But first, I want to get into some of the more rare spell cards that you're possibly able to get. The first one is Frightfur Reborn. It is a normal spell card where you target one Frightfur monster in your graveyard and special summon it. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished Fluffle or Frightfur monsters and return it to the graveyard. So this is a pretty good tool too for those Fluffle decks. Another spell card we have here is Pendulum Fusion. It's a normal spell card where you fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using materials you control as fusion materials. If you have two cards in your Pendulum Zones, you can also use cards in your Pendulum Zones as fusion materials. You can only activate one Pendulum Fusion per turn. So not a bad card to have too, especially if you're running Pendulum monsters that are also potential fusion material. Next, we have Ritual Sanctuary. It's a field spell card saying you can discard one spell card, add one light ritual monster or one ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. You can shuffle any number of spell cards from your graveyard into the deck, then target one light fairy monster in your graveyard whose level equals the number of cards you shuffled into the deck. Special summon it. You can only use each effect of Ritual Sanctuary once per turn. And next we have Spiral Flame Strike. It's a normal spell where you activate one of the following effects. If you control an Odd Eyes card, target one card on the field, destroy it. The next effect is add to your hand one level 7 Odd Eyes monster from your deck or one face-up level 7 Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck. And the last spell and trap card is a trap that's a normal trap. It's Raid Raptor Replica. Target one Raid Raptor monster you control, special summon one monster with the same name from your deck, and if you do, as long as you control the face-up special summoned monster, monsters your opponent controls cannot target the targeted monster for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target the targeted monster with card effects. So this is a pretty good one for Raid Raptor decks. So moving on to the extra deck cards that you're able to pull that are more on the super rare and ultra rare side. First, we have Fright for Daredevil. It is a level 8 Fiend Fusion monster, 3,000 attack, 2,200 defense. Its required fusion materials are 1 Edge Imp monster and 1 Fluffle monster. So it kind of reminds me of it reminds me of Fright for Kraken with the requirements here. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. If this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each Fright for monster in your graveyard. You can only use this effect to Fright for Daredevil once per turn. So for Fright for decks, this seems to be kind of a burn type card that can come in handy depending on the situation. The next one is a Synchro monster, Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. It's a level 10 Dragon Synchro, and it's got 3,500 attack, 3,000 defense. It requires 2 tuners and 1 or more non-tuner monster. It must be Synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can only use each of these effects of Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend once per turn. The first effect is during your main phase 1. You can destroy all other cards on the field also. For the rest of this turn, other monsters you control cannot attack. And the next one is, during either player's battle phase, when a spell or trap card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card, and if you do that, this card gains 500 attack. That's a pretty beastly card if you're running some kind of Archfiend type deck as well. So moving on here, we have the last card on this list is an Xyz monster, Neo Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. It is a rank 9 Dragon Xyz with 4,500 attack and 3,000 defense. It requires 3 level 9 monsters. If this card has a Cypher card as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, you can detach up to 3 Xyz materials from this card. Monsters you control cannot attack your opponent directly for the rest of this turn, except this card. Also, for each material detached, take control of one opponent's face-up monster until the end phase. But while this effect is applied, they have their effects negated and their attacks become 4,500. Also, their names become Neo Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. So this is a pretty great card too. I know it requires a pretty high cost of having 3 level 9 monsters. I know there's ways to make it happen, but if you're able to make a play and get this kind of Xyz monster out there, and also have a Cypher as one of your Xyz material to make these great effects happen, I mean, this is just an outstanding card as well. So overall, this set is coming out with some pretty good cards as far as supers and ultras are concerned. I can end up touching on some of the common cards at a later date as well if you want me to start looking into that as well, at least for Dimensional Guardians. Feel free to tweet out on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk, and I'll be happy to go into greater detail into some of this. But yeah, pretty good set. I know it just came out. There's not a whole lot of cards in this set, but it seems like there's quite a few support pieces for different archetypes that seems like a few people were waiting for. Now, personally, I'm a little upset that there still is no Fright for Patchwork, but we'll just keep waiting. I know there's a few others who are doing the same. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care.